The opportunity in a sales meeting is to create the context so that you have a bunch of agents going out there elevating the experience for consumers with real estate agents too. I mean, this is more than just about having one agent perform better. This is about having the industry also perform better by having great meetings, Garrett.
Welcome back to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. Today, I have my co-host, Matt Pinelli, with me as always. Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Garrett. Gosh, man, it's been a while since it's been just you and me from a recording aspect. People listening are like, wait, what are you talking about? You had two guests, and now it's you guys. Like, yeah, but we've recorded a lot of guests in the meantime, but I'm pumped that we got to go dive into a kind of one of these topics here today. But good to see you, man. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, man. I have upped my sleep lately. I've upped my water thanks to our challenge that we're doing in the community. We have a hydration challenge going on right now, which sounds kind of silly, like it's like really a hydration challenge. Dude, your body operates better, Matt, with more water. I can confirm it. My mind works better. I sleep better. Like, everything is better with more water.
Water is incredible. I mean, we said this on the, because if you're in our community, you probably saw our monthly challenge announcement and recap from the prior month. And if you're not in your community, you should definitely go check it out, which we could talk about that later. But water is nature's energy drink. Yeah. Like, it is the thing that gives you energy. If you guys are feeling that afternoon lull and you're reaching for the coffee, which used to be me all the time, Garrett. I used to like down coffee in the morning and then 2 p.m., just, two more cups of coffee. Now it's just water. I mean, I still have coffee in the morning, but water in the afternoon, it changes everything. It's like, oh gosh, I just needed a little hydration boost. And now the energy is back. My cognitive function is focused. And this is what's great about what we get to do here, Garrett, with Life at 10 Tenths now. And for those of you who've been listening into the podcast over the past couple of months, we appreciate you. And hopefully you've been experiencing this, where we get to like expand into all these things that not only make you a great human being, but that then translates into having a great business in a big way.
It's a domino effect. All these pieces, everybody, sometimes we try to focus to better one area so much. We put energy and time and focus and like, I'm going to make myself better over here. And you don't realize that when you start to better all these areas around you, everything grows, everything becomes better. So, yeah, right now it's hydration. I had a panic attack yesterday because Sarah drove away with my water bottle in the car. And I'm like, wait, like,
how am I going to drink water?
I need that. And I'm like, oh, there are other vessels that will hold water that I can drink out of. We're going to be okay.
I can just go into the kitchen cupboard. There's some things in there that I can probably grab. But I will say there is something about having your own, like your water, bottle, can, cup, whatever it is, that you're like, that's my water cup.
It's the way I know, though. It's like 32 ounces. I just know 4 of those. That's my goal, 4 of those a day. So when it left and I was like, all of a sudden I had this glass of water and I'm like, well, how do I measure this one? Like, I want to know exactly how much I'm drinking. And I got odd about it. So we're going to jump into our topic now.
We are, which isn't water. That's not what we came here to talk about, but it was still worth mentioning for sure.
This is what happens when we bring up guests. We're just like, what do we do? We're just going to roll through the mountainside here.
Just going to talk about whatever we want today. This is the catch-all. No, we do have a very good topic today.
Sales meetings. This came up as a discussion, Matt. I'm not sure. Did you put this on the list, or I think you did?
We were chatting about it. I wrote it down. I don't know if that qualifies as my topic.
We'll give it to you. Great topic, Matt. Sales meetings came on the list, and this came up as a discussion for Matt and I because I have been experiencing a lot of people right now that are in that zone of, should I check out a different office? Maybe I want to look at this different office over here. Maybe I want to look at this one over here. I'm also hearing from people going, oh my gosh, my sales meetings are painful to go and be a part of. Like, it is like pulling teeth. Like, come on, like I'm going to it, but like, get me out of this as fast as I can. And there is a difference, Matt, that we have watched of good and mediocre and crappy sales meetings. Like it's like, I understand why you don't want to go to it. I've been in them. I've been in ones where it's like, you got the sales manager.
I've run them before.
You got the sales manager going, hey, can you show up to the sales meeting? It would really be great if we could have you in the room. Like, it'd be really like, it would work team morale and things like that. And I'm like, create a sales meeting that makes me want to come, like makes me want to show up like that. That would be the win. And it can be done, Matt. And that's what I'd love to discuss with you a little bit today about what one is like things to avoid, but then also like what you should be leaning into with a sales meeting. Cause there's some opportunities around this as an office owner, as a manager right now, to not only retain people, but also attract new people in.
Yeah, no doubt. And I will say I've been in the position of running those crappy meetings before. I've done it. I've run bad meetings. I've run great meetings, and I've learned a lot from that. And hopefully, at the end of my managing tenure there, the agents I was working with thought that I was running great meetings. But I think the first thought that comes to my mind, Garrett, is the title, sales meeting. How much discussion around sales actually takes place in sales meetings, right? I've been to sales meetings where they don't even talk about sales. I'm like, wait, this is a sales meeting, right? So we're here to talk about sales, how we can get better at sales, what sales are going on, how can we support each other with sales, which I think ties to, do you even have an agenda and a format for your sales meetings? Because if you don't, or if you're attending meetings that don't have an agenda, you don't know what you're getting into, no wonder you don't want to attend, because you have no idea what is taking place. And if it's not a discussion on sales and that's what they call it, just even non-consciously, it just kind of makes like, hey, we were here for this, but that's not what I'm getting. I mean, is that something you've seen out there, Garrett?
Well, yeah. And it's funny. I think the word sales meeting is actually like kind of broken. There's words that I've joked about in the industry that are broken. Like I think the word coaching is broken. And I've said this to many people that like when you hear of coaching, a lot of times you relate that to what really is a lot of people do as accountability partners now. And they go like, I got a coach. It's broken, and people go like, "Oh yeah, I've done coaching. That no, not for me. It didn't get much out of it." Well, then you may have had a glorified accountability partner. Sales meetings are very much along the same lines, and there's lots of industries out there that do sales meetings, and it is always that obligation you got to go to. Now, if you're an employee, you don't get a choice. You have to show up to the sales meeting. When you're running a real estate office, none of these people have to show up. They're either showing up because they really like their sales manager. They don't want to let their sales manager down, which more props that's what's causing them to come in. But at the end of the day, it's like, how can we create value for these people so that they're showing up and they're walking away saying, I am so grateful to be part of an office that brings that kind of value in. And when I look at a sales meeting, Matt, it's this one time that then there's a couple of, but it's kind of your most powerful time you have to create the sense of team and to be a leader and to bring an environment together that raises the energy of all these people as a team, as an office, as a community, where when you got a whole bunch of independent contractors, it's easy for them to all kind of be on their own. And I have seen it done. I have watched managers that own these meetings. They look at them through the glasses of how can I create value? And people wouldn't miss those meetings for the world, because they're like, that's my leader. That's my team. This is the time we get together and we all support each other and help each other. And that's what we got to create out of these meetings. It's just missed all the time.
It is missed. And sometimes they even skirt it off to somebody else. Oh, we'll have this guest come in. We'll have this person come in. And again, with no agenda.
I've fallen asleep in those before.
It's just kind of like someone's going to come pitch you something. And it's the missed opportunity. You brought up the independent contractor thing. And I think this is an area that a lot of brokerages take a false step on. Yes, they're independent contractors. Well, you could write into the ICA that they must attend sales meetings, but then they may not sign it and all that stuff. And you don't really want to force people to attend. And so instead of looking at it like, ooh, employee versus independent contractor, look at this as you're the head coach and this is your team. The sales meeting is your Monday film session. This is your time to have here's what we do every sales meeting. We're going to review this, and this, and we're going to talk about this, and this broadly, and then you can get into specifics. And if you bring that energy as the head coach to this meeting to give props to people, to help lift people up and be like, hey, let's talk about this scenario that happened with Garrett last week in this contract and how we can all learn from it. Particularly right now, as people are going into the new contracts with buyer agency and all that stuff in your state and your municipality, your local association, you can use learning experiences to help people kind of have that Monday morning film session type experience, which is going to bring them value. And then you can talk about, hey, what do we got coming up here? How can we make some matches? And everybody knows what's going to happen at this meeting, which brings the energy level up because people are looking forward to getting these agenda items knocked out. And it also helps you set a time frame, because what I see happen too sometimes, Garrett, is these sales meetings also get long, like stupid long, and is like a lot of dead space. Oh, we're going to have John from this place come in and give a pitch. Like, do lunch and learns, do different trainings, do things outside of the sales meeting, quote unquote, so that you can have this staple meeting be really productive for your team.
Well, and it's interesting. Something as simple as going long doesn't sound that bad. A lot of times when we go long in a meeting, we're like, oh, I'm giving more value. That's why it went long. And I've always been taught is that when you go long without letting somebody know that we're going long, it's not more value. You've just screwed up their schedule is what you did.
After telling them that they need to have a good schedule, and then you run your meeting long and you hold them.
And all of a sudden they're like, because we do it, Matt, we'll schedule an appointment with somebody for coaching. And all of a sudden they're going, well, I could do it right after my sales meeting, but sometimes those go long and I'm not quite sure. Well, now we've got this time, let's say this hour that for your agents is totally non-productive, that they might have that hour, they might not have that hour. So they're just not scheduling it. So what do? They get done with their sales meeting on time and they all go stand around the coffee pot, or they all go hang out in the lobby and all talk about, hey, what do you guys got planned for the weekend? Like, no, I want them to be able to schedule an appointment right after our meeting, whether it's sitting down and building out real estate reviews, whether it's making phone calls to their clients, whether it's doing customer service calls. Like, I want them to be able to sit down and be fully active coming out of that meeting. But if I'm not good with my schedule and I haven't set the standard properly, now it's wasted time. And wasted time then has them go, what is the value that I'm getting from my office environment right now? Here I was just at this meeting that was like, it was there. We did it. It was a sales meeting. And now I've got this broken hour afterwards that now I'm not really being effective with, but I can't really schedule in there because I really don't know how that hour is going to go. And it starts to weigh this negative kind of feeling about what these things are. And then lean into what we've seen right now, Matt, with people kind of going like, well, maybe I want to look at a different office. Maybe I wonder what they got going on over there. I will say, one of the things that I watch with companies when they have a sales meeting, that their sales people, the agents, whatever it is, walks out of there saying that was a worthwhile meeting, is when you create an environment that helps them create more sales and more opportunities for sales. I think it is overlooked. It is missed all the time. But that opportunity to bring deals to the table, see if we can play a matching game, see if we can figure out and create this working together environment with these agents where it's like, how many deals can we put together, all of us together in-house? How much can we start working together as a team where we're helping all of us be successful right now, rather than being independent little people out here working that just comes together for a sales meeting? That's the number one takeaway I hear when people say this, my office creates it. The group was great at it for many, 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 many years. I think they're still great. I haven't been in one of their sales meetings in a while. But it was one of the biggest takeaways I heard from their agents was, when I go there, we put deals together. Like, we make connections.
I mean, we rely so much on technology to help us put these deals together, since you brought that up. And we just assume, okay, we just know what's out there, right? We got the MLS, we got these things, we know what's out there. It's like, but having conversation and connection can make a difference. And this can make a difference even if you have a very small office, or you have a virtual type of office situation going on. It's the conversation that can take place inside that meeting that can create connection or inspire somebody. Someone be like, hey, you know what, Garrett, have you checked out, Bob's shop down the street? I was in there last time and he was talking about he might need some more space. Maybe that would fit with your commercial listing that you have down the road. I'll maybe just walk in there and give him a shout and tell him I sent you, right? Just those little ideas that we can have from collaboration. And this all comes back to also, you mentioned the word coaching being kind of broken in the industry or just in general, not just in real estate. And by the way, these meetings can work for whether you run a real estate company or any company, or you're running your team meeting if you're a team leader. But you should go into it with a coaching mindset as well. Now, you can have an element if it's on the agenda that's a training. Maybe you have, hey, I have this kind of framework. We're going to spend 20 minutes on this. I know a lot of sales meetings right now are including, hey, this is the new contracts. We need to look at them. We need to understand them. That makes sense. But block out a specific amount of time for whatever that training is and use it then to also lead into coaching in terms of asking questions to your team, the agents, your employees, and build that relationship and work through issues versus just saying, do this, and this, see you later. Because that could be an email, right? But if you build it to be this coaching experience and you get that collaboration, I think that's where then people walk away, Garrett, saying that was a great meeting because now you've created not only new ideas for people to inspire them to go out and perform, but you've also created energy and connection and an environment that gets people saying it's worth it being here, right?
Well, and Matt, you just said, could it be an email? And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. As you're putting together your agenda and you're putting together all these things, and you're like, oh, I'll do this in the sales meeting and I'll talk about this. If it can be done in an email, send it in the email. Like, let that be an email. It's totally okay. It needs to be done. It's value that needs to be shared. But at the end of the day, it's not what necessarily maybe the sales meeting needs to be to bring people together and have them work together and build the camaraderie and build the team. And again, send the email, come up with something new in this environment that's going to bring, the energy that you need. The fine line that I look at this and where I was going to go, Matt, is with market data and market stats right now. I am finding a lot of agents, and when I'm coaching people one-on-one, Matt, one of the things I'm heavily focusing on is, are you tracking numbers to understand what your marketplace is doing right now? And I find that managers, owners, brokers, they will put together some of these stats for the agents to be able to use, but a lot of times they're relying on outside sources. They're grabbing data from areas of, we could use Keeping Current Matters, which I actually really like their stuff. I love what they have to offer. But I think there's like those types of sites. You can grab lots of data, you can share it with your office, but there's something about doing some more detailed research on what are we watching internally in the office environment when it comes to deals being done. When you look at the MLS and you start to research it there, we've talked about absorption rates, we've talked about months of inventory, we talked about odds of selling. Like, as a sales manager, you have the time to be able to sit down and pull this data and really analyze it for your area. And the more you can analyze that and you can bring it to your agents and sit down and say, here's the data I've been running. I'm going to share it all with you guys. And let's look at price ranges, where we're seeing changes happen right now. What price ranges are still buyers markets? What are sellers markets right now? You can't get this necessarily just by pushing a button in the MLS. You cannot get it. I love Focus First. You can't get that type of detailed information through that, but you can do it yourself and you can share it with your agents. And that's the kind of stuff that I look at as like, that's a sales meeting I would want to go to because I can take that information directly out of there. We can all talk about what we're seeing individually and be able to go like, yep, I'm watching that, or that doesn't make sense to me, but we can have a discussion about it. And then I can take that and go directly to my sellers and say, here's the new numbers, here's the new stats, this is where we're at. And those agents can own it as theirs. They can own it like they created it. You don't have to sit back and say, oh, my office gave this to me. You can say, these are my numbers. These are my stats that I run. Create that opportunity to give them that piece of value they can then go take out and make their businesses better.
Yeah. What a great example of, you have these little things that you can just slot into this agenda, right? Hey, we're going to have 15 minutes on a new topic, a framework that I'm going to work through as the head coach. We're going to have 10 minutes on some market data, giving you some tools. And then we're going to go into what's going on with you guys, maybe some deal examples and talk through who's got what deals up for grabs that we can maybe collaborate on, right? And you're like, cool, awesome. There's an hour meeting. And on the market stats, I've always praised Carolina One, for the market stats they share with the entire company via email.
They are so great with market stats. They always have been.
Do a great job. And I remember talking with someone one day, they're like, yeah, I wish more agents used them. And I'm like, well, if we can get the managers to push them out in their meetings and give people, because I think when it comes to, I mean, you got to remember this too, as an agent, as a team lead, as a manager, that agents wear a whole lot of hats, right? And yeah, that's what you signed up. Don't get me wrong. You signed up for that when you got your license and you got in this industry. You may have not known you were signing up for it, but hello, you're here now, right? But when you're getting out there each and every week, I understand that, okay, putting market data into these concise things may not be your first focus because you're focusing on your clients. So having a team lead or a manager help you package some of that stuff and be like, hey, Garrett, here's what we're looking at in supply and demand this week. Here's some handy charts. If you guys need this, it's already been emailed to you. It's in your inbox. But let me just talk to you about some talking points around this and how it might be used to your advantage when you're having conversations with your clients, right? Cool. Awesome. Took some things in. Now I can go off and have that be part of my framework as I'm going out there throughout the week, because as salespeople, which is what real estate agents are, like, we want to be able to provide value, but we can also bring that value from the head coach. Like, we don't have to create it all on our own. And what an incredible opportunity to create good value so that also people know, hey, I'm coming to the sales meeting. I'm going to get, at the very least, some great talking points around what's going on right now with this precipitous drop in mortgage rates. What does that mean? How do I include that into conversations versus just posting, hey, which all the memes that were out there from actual agents and the broke agent, well, like real estate agents getting ready to post about the drop in mortgage rates while the world's on fire, right? This is hilarious. But that's kind of the thing. A lot of people are like, I'm just going to make a post about it. I'm just going to share about it. The opportunity in a sales meeting is to create the context so that you have a bunch of agents going out there elevating the experience for consumers with real estate agents too. I mean, this is more than just about having one agent perform better. This is about having the industry also perform better by having great meetings, Garrett.
Well, in the bigger picture of this right now, as I said up front, and Matt, we were talking about this before we hit record, is that I've got an odd amount of people that I work with that are starting to say to me, I'm thinking about maybe making a change. I've got a meeting set up with this other office over here. Is there anything I should be concerned about if I do make a change in office? And that, it's kind of alarming how much it's coming up, because it means that they're not happy or they're not getting what they need from the environment that they've decided to hang their license at. And it's fixable, but it always comes down to, do they feel like they're part of a team? Do they feel like they have leadership? Do they feel like they have a place that they can be? So I would say if you are a realtor listening to this, or part of a company listening to this that has a sales meeting, but you're like, I love my company and I love what this stands for and I really don't want to leave, I think it's worthwhile to have a sit-down meeting with your managing broker, with the owner, and say, look, like, let's talk about these sales meetings that you guys drag everybody to. You tell them, like, it's so important that we come to it, and we all kind of do it in obligation, but like, how can we help build this up and make this better? Because it will help the agent out that's going to, like you, who's going to go have this conversation. If you can make those more powerful and you can get more people involved with it, it raises all the energy of everybody and what we got going on. If you are a sales manager listening to this right now, or an owner of a company listening to this right now, this is your opportunity to say, okay, one is, how can I retain the agents that I have? Because we know for a fact there's a lot of them right now looking over the fence going, grass looks pretty green over there. Not necessarily greener, but sure looks good from the outside. Maybe I want to go take part of that world over there. It is happening right now. Like, that is taking place whether you like it or not. So we got a lot of people doing that. So it's like, how can I make the grass a little greener over on this side? This is an easy way to do it. The other part is understanding that there's a lot of agents out there looking over the fence. Make your grass really green. So if somebody's looking over the fence, you're like, hey, you can come to one of our sales meetings and know that your sales meeting is so damn good that when that person walks in, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is how your sales meetings are? Like, let me tell you about our sales meetings over at our office that are like, oh, watching paint dry. Like, you guys actually have value happening over here. You guys this is a worthwhile moment of my week every 2 weeks to show up for. Create that environment. You want to attract a lot of agents, the opportunity's in your hands right now.
Such a good point on the recruiting side. Like, a lot of managers are, how do I get into, doing more things to attract people? If you run a great sales meeting, you already have a built-in meeting every single week that you can invite people to, that's going to create some really incredible value for them, even if they don't join up, which then creates great brand equity for you down the road. And I want to highlight too, on the agents that are listening, like, this is something you should definitely talk to your manager about, because if you're not experiencing great meetings, don't just immediately blame your manager, although I will say the buck stops with them for sure. That said, they don't know what you guys want until you talk to them about it. So if you want different meetings, if you want a structure, if you want an agenda in your meeting, ask for it. Don't just sit around going, we never get an agenda for what's going on with our sales meeting. Have you ever asked for one? Manage upwards as well a little bit, right? Because you also sometimes I've seen this happen, new managers come in and they might be a little bit intimidated by some of the salespeople. That happens, right? I sat in that chair at one point going, gosh, I'm in my late 20s trying to manage people who've sold real estate for longer than I've been alive. That's intimidating to me. And like, how am I going to do this? And I had to figure that out.
That's the veteran agents going, who is this young punk?
And I will say, the best thing that happened to me in that position was having incredible agents who told me what they were looking for, who said, hey, can we do these types of things at the meetings? And not everything is a yes, by the way. So if your manager doesn't do everything that you want, like, have a little bit of grace and understanding. But if they're taking in all those things, which is what I did, is it helped me get more comfortable running meetings, and also helping those agents get their voice into these meetings too. Because I was like, hey, Garrett, we were having a conversation the other day. Can you share a little bit about this? Right. And that creates an incredible camaraderie, because people then recognize, oh, my manager is accessible. My manager does listen. They do take action when they hear the concerns and the ideas of the agents in the office. So don't be afraid to talk to your manager about it, so that you guys can create a great environment. Because I know, even though there are a lot of people, Garrett, who are looking at other companies, I've been having some conversations with people around that. They've brought it up, by the way. I never bring up
I don't either.
I just want to make this very clear for everybody listening. Never do I go into a coaching call saying, have you guys thought about moving to this brokerage? Never, ever, ever. But people have brought it up. And the first thing I always say is, have you talked to your manager? Have you gone to your manager and expressed these concerns in person to them? Like, well, I shot an email off. I'm like, I don't want an email. I want you to go have a conversation with your manager, because you could end up making a move and experiencing the same thing somewhere else, but you just thought the grass was greener, and it turned out it just looked that way from the outside. And then once you got inside, oh, I got to water this thing to keep it green. Yeah, you got to do some effort too.
So, it's interesting, you talk about, though, I shot an email off, or like, did you actually go have a conversation? These are all relationships, by the way. You have a relationship. When you enter into an office agreement that you're going to be working in office, you are entering into a relationship with the managing broker and the owner of that company. And by the way, they need to look at it the same way with you too. And I think that this is broken sometimes both directions. So then what we have is, we have this working relationship where I just hang my license at this office over here so I can just do my business, and hopefully everybody kind of stays out of my way. I guess I got to show up for the sales meeting every single, couple of weeks. So you got this relationship going on, which is kind of broken in the communication a little bit. But if you can open up the communication, it's no different than a relationship with a spouse. It's one thing for me to sit down and say, hey, and by the way, Sarah, if you're listening to this, I'm not calling you out. You don't do this. I'm not frustrated with this. But it's like, it would really be nice when you are done with your dishes just to rinse them off. Like, I have no problem putting them in the dishwasher. I have no problem loading it. Can you just rinse them off so when they're in the sink, the food's not stuck on them? This is more
versus like, oh, Sarah never rinses off her dishes.
You can get really mad over it. I could send an email. Hey, sweetie, it would really be awesome in the future when you take your dishes from the table, if you can, rinse them off for me, because it would help me when I actually go to load the dishwasher. Like, I could do that, which is actually oddly passive aggressive.
Could you see that? Honey, did you get my email?
It's in an office, it's oddly passive aggressive too. You're not a team member. You're not coming to them with your energy saying like, "Here I am, let's talk about this. I want to make everything better." It's this weird shot across the bow of like, "Hey guys, love the sales meetings, love what you do. Hey, is there any way we can change these things about it so that it's, something that works better for my day and I can show up? Can we be done on time?" Like that would really be helpful to me. Like there's 1,000 ways those words can be written read and interpreted, but it's different when you're sitting there in front of them saying like, "I am trying to be like as productive as I possibly can to run this business as best I can. Is there any way we can end on time on these meetings? Because it would really help me be able to schedule my next appointment." You need to go talk to them, but so quickly we either send an email or we don't do anything at all. We're just silent and we're like, "I think I'm going to go down the street and interview at this other office right now because I just, it might be a better environment." So, number one, out of this entire episode, if you're still here listening to us, if you have any of these thoughts in your head, go talk to your managing broker before you do anything crazy. So many things can be fixed so easily. And then if you can work together as a team, you obviously were attracted to this office for a reason up front. There's a reason you hung your license there. There's a reason you showed up. Work together, see if you can raise the bar. Most managers, and you said this, Matt, and I really appreciate it, is that you can't assume that they know how to do it better. They're probably trying to do the best they know how to do. Can do. And if you can give them a little bit of leeway and a little bit of direction, a little bit of kind of like, "Hey, what about this?" They probably will listen. They want to be better. They want to create an environment that everybody wants to be at. Very few managers that I know are going to be like, "Hey, you stay in your lane." Okay. Like, "You go sell real estate. I'll run the office." Thank you, but no, thank you. You're not going to get that.
No, no, you're gonna get some good stuff there. And
If you get to stay in your lane, please comment below.
yeah, yeah, then maybe you have a good reason to go explore. But until you run into the real challenges, right? And so looping this back to keep these meetings, in my opinion, I think these are best to be focused on sales, what's going to make your salespeople better. And as you have opportunities to bring in guests and trainings and things like that, unless it's something that can really fit into that meeting, have a separate one-off meeting for that and promote it and hype it so that people come to that. Because people are like, "Well, but my sales meeting, my people are there. That's when I want to hit them with it." It's like, if you have to give somebody something just because they're attending, like if there's not another way to draw them to see that, is it even worth including into your sales meeting? And that's a question you should ask. If they wouldn't come to this outside this meeting, is it even worth then including in this meeting? And if they wouldn't, then the answer is no. Like, respect the time of your people, respect the time of the guests as well. Because if you bring a guest in that it's going to fall flat and they're not going to get any value out of it, that's not fair to the guest either, right? So that just came to mind. I wanted to throw that little.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's all great. Well, Matt, I think it's a great topic, man. And again, I think it's timely right now because of what we're watching out here and what we're seeing. And
what's a good opportunity is agents are coming into the meetings now because there's a really good reason. Hey, I want to make sure I get these contracts right. I want to make sure I'm doing these buyer agreements right, which is great. So don't miss this opportunity to keep them coming once they understand all this stuff.
Yep.
Love it, man. Well, good. Hey, good to be back. Just you and me chatting on something. This was a lot of fun, and appreciate everybody for tuning in and enjoying this episode. If you did get some value out of it and you do think that there's someone who might want to hear this one, particularly since this has to do around these meetings, please share. Share the episode. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's a little share button there. If you're listening to us on audio, I'm sure there's a share button on whatever platform. And if you're on either of those platforms, check out the other one if you like to watch or you like to listen, because we're everywhere we can possibly be with this podcast. And at the beginning, we talked about our monthly challenge and what's going on inside our community. If you want to join the 11 Circle, we would love to have you in there. It's our premium community where we do live coaching, Success Lab workshops. We bring in guests to coach, to share their trainings as well. And we actually have some really fun ones coming up. That's going to be incredible. Dan Martell's going to give us an hour coming up on October 3rd if you want to be there.
I am so excited about that.
It's going to be really huge. Everybody's going to get a book as well, which is, we do a lot of fun stuff in there. So go to lifeat10tenths.com. to learn more about that, if you want to chat with one of us, you can shoot us a message as well. You can shoot us an email or shoot us a message on social media, and we'll chat with you about what's going on there. We would love to have you in there. It's an incredible community. We're building it up. We want it to be, and are working and putting the intention to make it one of the most valuable things that you can add into your lifestyle and your business that does serve just in the way we talked about in this episode, Garrett, with making sure you have great sales meetings. Everything we do in there, we want to make sure is completely worth your time so that you get great value out of it. That's going to help you transform your business and your life. So definitely check us out there.
Where do they go to check it out, Matt?
lifeat10tenths.com.
You always call me out on that. So I'm like, ooh, I get a chance. This is good.
Let's see. Where did that go? I love it, man. Well, thank you, Garrett. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you, everybody. See you again.